My name is Hayley and I'm here to do a review on some Littlelamb bamboo nappies that I have got. I was very kindly gifted the newborn size from Littlelamb themselves, but I had previously bought the size ones ready for when my daughter got to that size, just because I had seen them on Instagram. I really liked the sound of the business they produced in the UK or Turkey. And I liked the sustainability side of things as well. I have bought the bamboo nappies. As I said, I purchased the size 1, and that goes from £9 to £20, or if you wanted to do it in kilograms, it goes from 4 kilograms to 16 kilograms. And Littlelamb sent me the newborn size, which is a newer product for them this year, and that goes from birth up until about £10. But as usual with sizing for babies, you sort of have to go with your child's shape. Different shapes might mean that you can fit into them for longer or shorter. We found we stuck quite rigidly to the size guides, particularly for the newborn. Our daughter has little skinny thighs. She doesn't have the big chunky thighs yet, sadly. And we have just recently moved out of our newborn sizes, and we are now currently into the size 1. I have found these to be a really fantastic nappy. We haven't ever had a leak with these nappies. I personally quite like the 2-part system. You have that sort of security, particularly if you've got a child that's a heavy wetter like our daughter is. Something that is a thirsty material like bamboo just is really going to soak up loads. And then when you've got a wrap that goes over the top, as you can see here on the Littlelamb nappy, they have an elasticated edge that goes around the leg. And as long as you've got a good, I call it a good seal, so it's nice and tight around the leg, not so tight that it's going to cut off any circulation, but as long as you've got a good, nice encasing around the leg and you can't see any of the white nappy poking through, then we haven't had any leaks, and they're really simple and easy to put on, which when you're first changing babies, newborns, when they're being changed every couple of hours, quick, simple, easy is something that you want, really. You don't want anything that's going to be too much hassle. What I really liked about the newborn size was that they had this extra row of poppers. So here, as you can see, you've got just one snap popper, and the idea is if you popper them together, you can make the nappy a little bit smaller. Now, I found once I'd poppered it together, I would just put my fingers inside the PUL and just push it upwards. That helped it lay a little bit flatter on my daughter when I put the nappy on her, and it just sort of created a little bit more of a flat edge. It's not essential, but if you've got a wriggly baby, you may want to sort of do that. It puts less stress on the poppers, so they're less likely to ping open. But also you can see there, and as you can see on the top of this nappy here, you've got the extra bit of Velcro. If you have a particularly small baby, I'm just going to show you as well what comes on the inside. So when they're first born, you might find you just need to use the nappy as it is. This is all bamboo, so very thirsty nappy. If you have a heavy wetter, and bearing in mind newborns are liquid-based diet, they're drinking milk for the first 6 months of their life, you may find you need to boost from early on. We did with our daughter because she's definitely a super soaker. So we would just lay the booster straight in on top. And then you have a fleece liner, which helps the baby stay dry. So you put that as the last layer on top of your nappy, just like that, goes over the top. And then it allows all the wee to go through, catches any poo. But what's really nice about that is the baby feels like they're dry. It sort of lets all the urine soak through without holding any of the wetness itself, so the baby doesn't feel so wet in there. But once you've done up the nappy, you've got this little bit of extra bit of Velcro here, so that if you had a small baby, you can make your nappy even smaller. And then with the wrap, you would put your nappy inside the wrap, and I'll just quickly do that here and then show you. And again, you've got that same little Velcro tab just over the top, where if you had a really small baby, you could do that. So that sort of gives you a guideline as to how small these nappies can be. So that was one thing that I really liked when you don't exactly know what size baby you're going to have when they come along. We ended up with an £8.9 little chunky monkey. And so we still used this rise at the beginning, but we sort of got through that quite quickly. And if that's the case, you just unpop her. And you might not need to cross over the wrap at the front. So as you can see, it gets bigger with the baby, which is really handy. What I liked about this as well, the newborn size, whilst it maybe doesn't last as long, because it obviously goes from much smaller to just £10. What's useful though is these can be quite bulky on newborns, although they go from £9 and our daughter was £8.9, and to put this on her, it was just, her legs were a bit too skinny, her bottom wasn't very big, it just looked a bit more roomy on her. It didn't take long though before she was in these, I have to say. We sort of, for a while, we would sort of use both alongside each other. But I did find if you want to cloth right from the beginning, and particularly if you have a small baby, these are really useful, and they have such cute little prints as well. I particularly like this one with all the little pigs on it. We went down a very strong animal theme because we didn't know if we were having a boy or a girl. So we got lots of the animal ones, and they are very cute, I have to say. I just wanted to sort of say really how fantastic I had found these nappies, really absorbent. I then put them in a dry pail, which is basically a bucket, or you can get hanging pails as well from Littlelamb. And then I wash them every day. So I do a pre-wash every day, and then every other day I do a main wash, which is where I put more of the nappies in all together and give them an extra wash. And so far, 10 weeks in, we've not had any stinks or stains. When you sort of get into the cloth nappying, you'll find that's a common theme that people will talk about, any stinks and stains that might happen. Following that wash routine, I've not had any issues, and like I say, we're 10 weeks in. And I think the most important thing to remember is just how absorbent they've been. We use these as our nighttime nappy. So we have the size 1 now that we put on her, the bamboo liner, which I just lay straight on top for nighttime, and then the fleece liner over the top. And we can, because we are very lucky, for nighttime sleeping, our daughter gives us probably around about 7 hours in one straight hit. This can go on, then she goes to sleep and we don't get a leak, and because she's not pooing in the night, we don't have to change her until she wakes up, because I'm sure you will learn very quickly, if you haven't had children yet, that if you need to change a baby when they're asleep, they don't like that. That can create a lot of noise. So yeah, if you've got a nappy that can last you through the night time, that can be really helpful. So that is my review of my Littlelamb nappies that I've got, and I would definitely recommend them to anyone that's looking for the cloth journey, because they're easy to use, really absorbent, an easy wash routine. Because I chose the bamboo for the thirsty properties of the fabric, they do take slightly longer to dry, but as long as it's not raining outside, I bung them on the line, bring them in, and you can either put them in your airing cupboard or over a clothes horse, or hanging off of a socktopus, I like to call them, those sort of things, just to help dry them off as well. But in general, we have 10 altogether. So I have 5 of the newborn and 5 of the size 1s, and we haven't ever run out using them over nighttime. So that is, I would say, a huge bonus. You don't need a massive amount to get you through on your cloth journey as well, which is really good.